स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the establisher of universal religion, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme Incarnate. Let us pray to him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen: efficacy of pilgrimage. People very often go for pilgrimage. Many times we have seen people go in that name, but more than pilgrimage, they go as a tourists. But they use the term pilgrimage. That's how all these most uplifting words have been diluted so much because of misapplication, using them loosely without giving importance for the significance of the words. Well, pilgrimage is one of the most important spiritual practices, very common, particularly in a country like India. I have seen in our own family, my grandmother, aged about 60 plus, maybe 65. I was about 16 or 17 years age. Once she expressed her desire to go for pilgrimage. Generally, in almost all the families in India, that was the way people used to think in olden times. When they get old age, they think they should do some pilgrimage. In a way, they want to prepare themselves for the journey, life after. That was a tradition which is being followed by many families. And my paternal uncle, father's brother, he was a school teacher, and my grandmother called him, "Look, you take me to pilgrimage." He agreed, and he took her some important places in India, and she went, grandmother. How did they do pilgrimage? It's most amazing. Every place they would go, they would stay in a chowdhury. Those days chowdhuries were available. And they must take bath before going to temple. And not only that, they would stay 3 days in a place. And fasting, offering worship, doing prayers. Whole day this was the program. There was no room for talking anything else. And those days it was very difficult also to communicate through post. It would take months for the letter to reach. Still we would get now and then how they were doing pilgrimage, etc. After completing the pilgrimage, when they came back, we found grandmother was totally famished because there was so much fasting and so many things. She fell sick. She had to take 2 or 3 months rest, complete rest, bedridden, something like that, old age, all those. But she was satisfied she could do some pilgrimage. So pilgrimage has got great value in our spiritual life, particularly in a cultured family. They give very much importance for going pilgrimage. We see in Sri Ramakrishna's life also how Sri Ramakrishna himself went on pilgrimage with Mathur Babu to Banaras, how Mother Sharda Devi went on pilgrimage to Vrindavan, Rameshwar. That means Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, they have given authenticity, giving the significance for the virtue, for this quality, for this practice of pilgrimage. Taking bath in the holy waters, offering worship. So, pilgrimage really means traveling to a sacred place as an act of religious devotion. So when we take a trip to a holy place, such as the birthplace of a great saint, or a confluence of rivers, or a place of worship, we call it pilgrimage. In fact, in 1999, I paid a visit to India. I made it a point to see Ganeshwar Pita, the birthplace of Ganeshwar, Tukaram. I did see, and I went to Trambakeshwar. It was almost pilgrimage for me. In fact, I wanted to go that way only. I didn't want to waste time in simply chatting and talking loosely. Anyway, there's another kind of pilgrimage. What is that? When we visit a holy person, that's also considered pilgrimage. In olden days, we used to have Ramana Maharshi in Tirunnamalai. Every now and then people would go, and we would go to Tirunnamalai, we want to see Ramana Maharshi. So seeing a holy man is considered pilgrimage. And describing the characteristics of an illumined soul or lover of God. Nasim Mehta, great poet, Gujarati poet, he has composed a most beautiful song, Vaishnava Janato. Very beautiful song. I should sing one day in the prayer. There he mentions Sakala Tirtha Tena Tanamare. Sakala Tirtha Tena Tanamare. That is, he is the very embodiment of all the holy places. The saint is the embodiment of all the holy places. So much of importance is there. But people, worldly people use the same word pilgrimage in a worldly sense. For them, pilgrimage means touring. Tourists, that's all. They stay in a hotel, enjoy all the hotel food sumptuously, and as a part of the program, they would go and visit if there is any temple nearby, or they will be satisfied by going to park or something else. Sri Ramakrishna very clearly says in the Gospel, a sadhaka should perform his duties. What are the duties of sadhaka? Everybody has got a duty, no? Householder has got a duty. Worldly man has got a duty. In the way, what is the duty of a spiritual person? What is the duty of a spiritual aspirant? One who is aspiring to realize the truth. What are his duties? Sri Ramakrishna says, he has to perform his duties. What are the duties for the spiritual aspirant? Worship. Upasana. Second, japa. Repetition of God's name. Consciously, willingly, wholeheartedly, sincerely. Then meditation. Then prayer. And last of all, pilgrimage. Worship, japa, meditation, prayer, pilgrimage. 5 duties are prescribed for the spiritual aspirant. So, as a spiritual aspirant, are we doing these sadhanas? It's not that we should do all these sadhanas. We can choose any one of them and do it. Of course, worship, first of all. Participating in the worship, or himself doing the worship, or attending the worship, fully conscious of what is being worshipped. That is a sadhana. That is a duty, and you have done the best duty. The duty, when done properly, it bears its fruit. The fruit is purification of the heart. And then constant remembrance of God, japa. Worship is always followed by japa. And then meditation, prayer. So pilgrimage, I already told you, visiting a holy place is considered a pilgrimage. In that sense, coming to Vedanta is a pilgrimage. Coming to Vedanta Society in Chicago at 7:30 for attending the class is a pilgrimage. It has got spiritual meaning only if you understand it properly and do it as a duty. Duty means it must be done. That's the meaning of duty. Not whenever you want you can come, whenever you are not whenever you are not able to come for some reason, for some factor, absenting oneself. No. Duty means there should not be absence at all. Very rarely, under extreme, urgent, difficult circumstances, one may have exemption. Otherwise, one shouldn't. go in for any kind of concession or exemption with regards to spiritual practice. Sri Ramakrishna says again in the Gospel, one cannot realize God without prema bhakti. How nicely Sri Ramakrishna has put the words. Another name for prema bhakti is raga bhakti. Raga bhakti. That means supreme love, which makes one attached only to God. That's called prema bhakti. God cannot be realized without love and longing. Unless one has learned to love God, one cannot realize Him. These are words of Sri Ramakrishna. There is another kind of bhakti. These are all words of Sri Ramakrishna I am quoting. Another kind of bhakti Sri Ramakrishna tells in the Gospel, that's called Vaidhi bhakti, according to which one must repeat the name of God a fixed number of times, fast, make pilgrimages, worship God with prescribed offerings, make so many sacrifices, and so forth and so on. By continuing such practices a long time, one gradually acquires raga bhakti. God cannot be realized until one has raga bhakti. One must love God. In order to realize God, one must be completely free from worldliness and direct all of one's mind to God. You have to train the mind that way. You have to train. In the opening chapter of the book Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna by Mahendranath, we find Yam telling us about his very first encounter with the God-man of Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna. Accompanied by a friend, Yam arrives at the temple garden. It was dusk. He goes straight into Sri Ramakrishna's room. He found Sri Ramakrishna talking about God. He found that the room was full of people drinking the words of Sri Ramakrishna in deep silence. Yam stands there speechless and looks on and feels. It was as if he was standing where all the holy places met. These are the words of Master Maharshi in the Gospel. So when we go to see a saint, it's a pilgrimage indeed. It's a great pilgrimage because it purifies your heart, it makes you go Godward, it transforms your life. Such tremendous purificatory effect it has got. So from that point of view, I consider anybody coming to ashram, attending arati, participating in worship, is considered a pilgrimage. Why do we call an enlightened being a God man? In appearance, he seems to be just like us, like human beings Sri Ramakrishna was looking at. Then what is it that makes the world call him a God man? We call him so because he has realized God. He has found the Lord of the universe within the shrine of his own heart. Sri Ramakrishna used to see Divine Mother Kali all the time. That's why he was always joyful. The reason was, he was always having the vision of the Divine Mother. So naturally, he should be very happy. Scriptures tell us that the same God whose presence a God-man has felt within himself resides in the heart of each one of us also, making it the holiest of holy places. Our heart is the holiest of holy places. So would it not be the greatest of all pilgrimages to see the Divine Lord enshrined in our own hearts? So concentrating mind, focusing the mind, diverting the mind towards beloved God enshrined in the heart is considered pilgrimage. Why an inner pilgrimage? But unfortunately, though it's a fact that God is enshrined in everyone's heart, this shrine within us lies buried deep under heaps of dust and dirt of our desires, weaknesses and imperfections. Joys and sorrows entangling in worldly ways. So, that shrine has been covered up by all these things, dust and dirt. It is buried deep inside the heart. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a silver lining to every dark cloud. Vedanta asserts, don't despair. The way is very difficult, like walking on the edge of a razor. Yet despair not. Arise awake and find the ideal, the goal. Man clings to his senses very firmly. As he makes his way through the experiences of this finite world, he comes to know that the world is like a thorny bush. You have hardly freed yourself from one set of thorns before you find yourself entangled in another. There cannot be even an instance of perfect happiness here, let alone constant joy. And his search for the nectar begins when he experiences this. He struggles towards that ambrosial experience which would finally quench his thirst forever. Everyone is struggling towards getting that everlasting happiness. Some unknowingly, some others with conscious effort are following the golden path of pilgrimage. With a firm resolve, one takes up this pilgrimage, and as he progresses, he finds some resting places on and off to refresh himself, a chance meeting with an illumined soul, or an opportunity to be at a place throbbing with spirituality. Sometimes help might come in the form of an enlightening book or some profound event. Some people even say, oh Swamiji, I was very fortunate in my younger days. Somehow I came and read the tiny book published by Ramakrishna Mission, Thus Spake Vivekananda. That revolutionized my life. People talk that way. And it is true also. It is true also. These are all the aids that encourage a person to go on until the goal is reached. At times a ray of light or inspiration may emerge from the least expected of places and at the most unexpected time. Hundreds of visitors flock to the famous building housing the headquarters of the United Nations each day in New York. They do conducted tours for the tourists to look around the building. A guide will come. He will show many places within the building, like the General Assembly Hall, Visitors Gallery, etc., etc. Then there was this generous sprinkling of artifacts from different countries throughout the lobbies and hallways. And suddenly you see in front of a wall on which is hung a huge hand-woven Persian carpet of exquisite beauty. Just as you are marveling at its intricacy and perfection, the guide points out an arrow superimposed on the carpet and tells that the arrow had been placed there to indicate a mistake in the design of the carpet. It is said that defect, almost undetectable to a layman's eyes, was made deliberately by the weaver to illustrate the truth that no man can ever be perfect. It is only the Almighty who is perfect. What a beautiful way of bringing home the truth that at the level of man there can never be perfection. It is only when man becomes God, or as Vedanta would say, rediscovers his seemingly lost godhood, then there can be perfection. And this perfection is what each man is striving for. His whole life is a struggle to attain it by rising above his weaknesses. At present, he is imprisoned within the walls of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Therefore, the world and its imperfections trouble him all the time. The body and mind cause him pain and sorrow. He grumbles and is restless. He feels like a caged lion and longs to be free. Only by crossing over this adamantine wall of the three gunas can he gain perfect freedom, everlasting joy and supreme peace. Sri Ramakrishna tells a beautiful story to illustrate the gunas. It is in the Gospel. Once a rich man was passing through a forest when three robbers surrounded him and robbed him of all his wealth. After snatching all his possessions from him, one of the robbers said, "What's the good of keeping the man alive? Kill him." Saying this, he was about to strike their victim with his sword, when the second robber interrupted and asked and said, "There is no use in killing him. Why should we kill him? Let us bind him fast and leave him there. Then he won't be able to tell the police." Accordingly, the robbers tied him with the rope, left him and went away. After a while, the third robber, who was good among all the other two, returned to the rich man and said, "Oh, you are badly hurt, aren't you? Come, I am going to release you." The third robber set the man free and led him out of the forest. When they came near the highway, the robber said, "Follow this road and you will reach home easily." "But you must come with me too," said the rich man. "You have done so much for me. We shall be happy to see you at our home." "No," said the robber. "It is not possible for me to go there. The police will arrest me." So saying, the robber left the rich man after pointing out his way. Now the first robber who said, "What's the good of keeping the man alive? Kill him," is tamas. It destroys. Tamas means destroying quality. It destroys. The second robber is rajas, which binds a man to the world and entangles him in a variety of activities. So, what's the result of Rajas? Rajas makes him forget God. Tamas destroys a person. Rajas makes one forget God. Sattva alone shows the way to God. It produces virtues like compassion, righteousness and devotion. Again, Sattva is like the last step of the stairs. Sattva is like the last step of the stairs. Next to it is the roof. The Supreme Brahman is man's own abode. One cannot attain the knowledge of Brahman unless one transcends the three gunas. Trigunatita. One should go beyond the three gunas. One should go beyond the realm of the three gunas. Sri Ramakrishna tells in the Gospel. Thus a man can grow out of his present imperfections, breaking the shackles of the three gunas and inquiring into the beyond. Another parable illustrates this. Also was told by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. A woodcutter once entered a forest to gather wood. Fortunately for him, a brahmachari came there and he advised him, go forward. He didn't say anything else other than that. And this woodcutter obeyed the injunction and discovered some sandalwood trees. After a few days he reflected, the holy man asked me to go forward. He did not tell me to stop there. So he went forward and found a silver mine. After a few days he went still farther and discovered a gold mine, and next mines of diamonds and precious stones. The truth is that man cannot be content with the things of the present. There is this constant urge in him to seek something higher and higher, and to go further and further until he has attained the highest. So perfection is his true nature, and he is bound to struggle for it. And perfection is always infinite. So this finite world cannot enchant him for long. His very nature would push him towards the realm of spirit. The process of transformation, of turning a Valya into Valmiki, or Prince Siddhartha into the Buddha, the enlightened one, is bound to get triggered someday, sometimes. Each soul feels this urge sooner or later. It is said of Napoleon, a great warrior. I was amazed to read this. In his last days, in a contemplative mood, Napoleon did ponder over the evanescence of matter and the permanence of spirit, and realized how futile it was to found an empire by using crude force. For our greater empire might be, it is sure to crumble into dust someday. Only the kingdom of heaven lasts forever. And the kingdom of heaven is within you, says Jesus. So says the Vedanta and every great teacher. Swami Vivekananda says in his complete works this way. As a pilgrim progresses in his search for this kingdom of heaven within, he marches ahead, leaving behind the world of imperfections. The God of heaven becomes a God in nature, and the God in nature becomes a God who is nature, and a God within this temple of the body. Swami Vivekananda in his complete works has said this. And this God is the goal of our great pilgrimage, the grandest and the most glorious. And we can find him by renouncing our little self, which is vain desires of living and enjoying. Not I, but thou should be our watchword. Only then can there be perfection. All the great teachers assure us that we will all come to it someday. Swami Vivekananda says, I always cling to the ideal set forth with one voice by Christ, Buddha and the Vedanta that we must all come to perfection in time, but only by giving up this imperfection. This world is nothing. It is at best only a hideous caricature, a shadow of the reality. We must go to the reality. Renunciation will take us to it. Renunciation is the very basis of our true life. Every moment of goodness and real life that we enjoy is when we do not think of ourselves. This little separate self must die. Then we shall find that we are in the real, and that reality is God. And He is our own true nature, and He is always in us and with us. Let us live in Him and stand in Him. It is the only joyful state of existence. Life on the plane of the Spirit is the only life. And let us all try to attain to this realization. Swami Vivekananda says in his complete works, this is perfection, this is God. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, one cannot realize God without prema bhakti, as I said earlier. Another name for prema bhakti is raga bhakti. God cannot be realized without love and longing. Unless one has learned to love God, one cannot realize Him. And I told you also about the Vaidhi Bhakti, how one should cultivate. They are all very important in the spiritual journey of the aspirant. Swami Brahmanji used to say, without unceasing practice, you cannot have any religious experience. And Brahmanji says further, it cannot be had by trickery. It cannot be had by trickery. The holy atmosphere and change of scenery are aids to the health of the body and mind. These places are conducive to meditation. At each place of pilgrimage, there is a special time when the spiritual current flows. If at those times an aspirant meditates, his mind easily becomes absorbed and he finds increased joy in his meditation. Swami Chidananda says, the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, the holy places are indeed God's glories. While thinking of Him, one should also think of the manifestation of His power. In holy places, there is a special manifestation of Him. He is not seated in our chapel only. He, the Lord of the universe, is all pervasive and exists everywhere. But He is specially manifest in holy places and in His saints and devotees. So, pilgrimage has got its great importance. Only you have to do it properly. You must maintain the sacredness, the sanctity of pilgrimage. How to do that? When you are taking pilgrimage, you should not engage yourself in all unnecessary idle talks or political gossiping. But one should, on the other hand, read scriptures, spend the time in meditation, in prayers. That's how you should spend time while doing pilgrimage. I have seen people in India, in Bangalore particularly. The tradition is generally, when they go out of the home, the first thing they do is visit a temple, after salutation, and then go catch a bus or rickshaw or any conveyance and go to your job. And I have seen people, as soon as they get out of the home, they are going towards the temple. What do? They are repeating God's name. Venkatramana, Venkatramana, Venkatramana. They are repeating Venkatramana's name because he is going to Venkatramana temple. And they makes pranam there. At that time, if the priest makes arati, he takes the arati and puts some coin, dakshina. And he feels satisfied. Then he catches the bus and goes to the job. Same way I have seen people running literally to attend the Arati evening time. Literally running. I have seen people running to attend the puja in the morning. Everything has got its value. Only you should know it and do it. Otherwise, everything loses its value. If you don't know the good side of it, you lose everything. Even though the gold and treasure is in front of you, because of ignorance, you are not able to recognize it. So, there is great efficacy in pilgrimage. So, coming to ashrama, attending the activities regularly, without failure, is real pilgrimage. You are training the mind. Mind wants to run away. Mind wants to socialize. It wants to go here and there. It wants to run and run. It finds millions of reasons not to come to ashrama. But still you must persist. And that persistence will come when you develop strong willpower. Willpower. Without willpower, how is it possible to fight the negative forces in the mind? Willpower is very essential. Page 849. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. Sri Ramakrishna finished his meal. Yam poured water into his hand for him to rinse his mouth. Master said to Yam, Rakal has indigestion. It is best to take only sattvic food. Haven't you read about it in the Gita? Don't you read the Gita? Sri Ramakrishna answering, asking the question. Yam said, yes, sir. The Gita speaks of temperance in eating, sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic foods, sattvic kindness, sattvic ego, and so on. All these are described in the Gita. Master said, have you a copy of that book? Yes, sir, Master. It contains the essence of all the scriptures. That is, Gita contains the essence of all the scriptures. Yam said, the Gita describes various ways of realizing God. You too say that God can be reached by various paths: knowledge, devotion, work and meditation. Master said, do you know the meaning of karma yoga? It is to surrender to God the fruit of all action. Yam said, yes, sir. I have read that in the Gita. It also says that there are 3 ways of performing action. Master asked, what are they? Yam said, first, one may perform karma to attain jnana. Second, to teach others. Third, under the impulse of one's nature. After rinsing his mouth, Sri Ramakrishna chewed a bitter leaf. Sri Ramakrishna was talking with Yam about Dr. Sarkar. Yam had been at the doctor's house the previous day to report the master's condition. Master asked, what did you talk about? Yam said, there are many books in the doctor's room. I took out one to read, and now and then read a passage aloud to Dr. Sarkar. It was a book by Sir Humphrey Davy. He wrote about the necessity of divine incarnation. Master said, indeed. What did he say to the doctor? Yam said, there is one passage that stated that divine truth must be made human truth to be appreciated by us. Therefore, divine incarnation is necessary. Master said, splendid. That's very good. Yam said, the author gave the illustration of the sun. One cannot look at the sun, but one can look at its reflected rays. Master said, very fine. Anything else? Master Maharaj said, another passage stated that real knowledge is faith. Master said, that too is very good. If one has faith, one has everything. Let us stop here. Any question? Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire worldly lust raging furiously within. Our name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, down deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for very selves. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be freed from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good be done to all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased, he being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.